Good evening. No, figured I would sit and have a ramble with you while I'm, of course, making dinner. Seems to be the thing these days. Plus, I've been sitting here chatting with my brother, and he's been having fun. He uses a different app, though, but he's been having fun doing AI art. And he's my older brother, of course. I'm the baby of the batch. But I kind of smear the butter in, so that way some of it works its way down into the actual potato where I've got it cut a little to allow the steam to escape. Plus, yeah. But no, he did these images of Groot, which is pretty fucking awesome. I was like, those are pretty damn cool. And he did this one, I was like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself as he's saying it, because he sent them first, of course. And he's like, you can use these for for your t-shirts or whatever if you want. And I'm sitting there, it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna steal that one, that's for sure. I was like, actually, I should do that so it doesn't roll so easy. But, kind of, so I snatched that one up and I was like, I'm gonna put that one on a hoodie, like on the back of one. It's actually pretty cool one of baby Groot, but it looks like he's got like a Darth Vader looking type contraption in his hand, like what's on Darth Vader's chest. Just he's holding it and then he's got the galaxy behind us. Like, that'll be a fun one even for kids and shit like that and other people like that. So I was like, made sure to put, the AI art and his artist name to it. So that way, yeah. And I told him, I was like, if they sell and they do well, I was like, you'll quietly be famous because people won't even know who the fuck you are. They'll just see that, oh, that's who did it. Giving them a hard time. Just like people don't know who the fuck I am. They just, yeah. I've gotten some sales, but I don't really make a whole shit ton of money off of it. And usually I let it sit and all that until it's really worth, pulling from. I had to warm up some sauce for the dinner. You want to see some cock? I know a lot of you girls out there like to see some cock, and I know some of you guys are fucking weirdos too, and you like seeing cock too. Check this out. There's my cock. I've got 4 of them. All different sizes, and they say size doesn't matter, right? That's so fucking wrong. But making some chicken legs tonight. I hope you enjoyed that little show right there. I ended up, because I don't have a broiler pan, and the way I cook chicken in the oven, since, well, my barbecue's not really in service, I basically do like a homemade, kind of like a broiler pan. I use normally I would use skewers, but all I had was some matchsticks, and yes, I already, burnt the sulfur off and all that shit first. Then I roll them up so that way there's some support in there, and then when they heat up, it allows the heat to kind of circulate a little bit better. It sounds weird, but yeah. It doesn't just hold the heat better, it just kind of helps circulate it a little better. So that way it helps cook and doesn't prohibit it so much, and it doesn't have necessarily, so many little hot spots on it. Throw the tater in the oven because that's ready to go. Shitty part about not having an oven mitt. You either gotta be careful and do it by hand or just grab a rag, that's what I do. That's, I think, all anybody else does. But we'll put the larger one towards the center. This also helps keep this shit from sticking to the pan so easy. And I can adjust the spacing. Actually, flip it around so we got some more room to it. Yeah, I figure after I get done here, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that hoodie together, online there, and get it all done up on the shop, on the online store thing. Now I'm gonna roll that over. Do the other side first. There. But then itty bitty one. He only just needs like just 2 of those instead of all 3 like these other 3. Screw it over so that there's some good spacing and allows the heat to travel through. Blah blah blah. And then time for the sauce. And I'm not going to tell you what's in the sauce because I don't have the recipe for Sweet Baby Ray's. And, well, I'm not sure how much is in mustard and garlic aioli. But, no, it's pretty good. Normally I do a first glaze with some honey. I'll put honey on both. I'll like, say like this, I'll put it in the oven for like 15 minutes. I'll have it glazed with some honey, then I'll, in 15 minutes, flip the chicken over, and then put another glaze of honey on that side, and then I put the sauce on. It puts a nice little base to it. I think the kitty's having fun. Kind of let it slather on. Yeah, no. I ended up obviously sleeping in, today. I finally, I ended up passing out, and it was nice. I was finally able to go to sleep, get my brain to slow down a little bit, and then sat and watched a couple of my shows, and I was watching one of my favorite channels, Steve Wallace. Like, does the stealth camping, stuff like that. And I was watching him do this awning thing, and it was just a makeshift one, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I know they have those things for cars. He said the same thing. These weird awning things that kind of attach to the roof of your car. And all I could think to myself is, like, as he's attaching them to his roof rack, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, going, it would just be pretty cool, because what he was doing is basically building a kind of a rough frame to put a tarp over. And all I could think to myself as he's doing it, I was like, that'd be one of those things that would be cool, that on the roof racks, how there's 2 pieces that go across, in the front and in the towards the front and towards the rear of the roof of the car, and you put your luggage or whatever on there. Or in Oregon, you see a lot of people with kayaks. And so that type of stuff. But you've got them crossed out like this, and I'm thinking to myself, going, you know, it wouldn't take much for these manufacturers to put these cross beams on each side that attaches the two ends, and are like kind of like a telescoping frame. So all they have to do is just pull that out straight out, and let's say in the car or whatever, or it comes with the roof rack thing, and you can just tuck it in underneath the seat or something. You know, a couple of legs and a center support, you know. It's a couple telescoping leg things, so they attach to each corner and then put something that goes towards the center. And there you go. You got a frame there that you could put a gazebo type walls or whatever on there, or tarps on there, whatever. I'm sitting there going, that'd be pretty cool. Or if they did it right and they still have that cross member with the legs, they can just fold up and then they can just push it in, and the legs will just tuck underneath the actual racks themselves, and just as it goes in, folds, you know, the niche and Coda wrestling. As they're sitting there, as you push it in, the legs, you know, are folded, but there's space to go into that little spacer that you see on the roof racks, because you got the roof racks, and then you got these little spacers that are attached to a suction cup or even the actual mounts to the roof of the car. So it's like there's room there for those legs to kind of tuck in there as you push the thing in there, and kind of snaps into place and good to go. And you can do that on both sides, be like bat wings. I was like, it wouldn't take them much. That would be actually really simple, and heck, you could do that with some of those with just some, like, you know, a couple pieces of PVC, and just pull the caps off the ends and tuck some PVC pipe, smaller PVC piping that can tuck in there, and just shorten it just enough so that way you can put the cap back on there or whatever. Maybe put some kind of little rope hook or something so you can actually grab a hold of it and it's not getting stuck in there. But people could just do that themselves and just modify it and not do it what he did. What he did was pretty cool, though. It was smart. I mean, it was just using a couple of those shower curtain rods and get all that. It looks like I got all of it. See, I basted my cock. I don't have a brush thing, so I just have to use a spoon. So I spoon my cock. Sometimes you have to spoon your tits too, you know. If you're doing, you know, tits instead of, you know, legs. Gotta spoon those. We're talking about chicken here, people. Fucking perverts. I'm just, yeah, trying to be in a little bit better mood. Just kind of make sure I have a good dinner, too. Okay. And I can go to throw these in the oven, but first, the only thing I'm going to do now sprinkle a little Italian seasoning into these. And from what I understand from watching that one guy online who does his cooking thing, you're supposed to be like this. Is that right? I'll just sit here and then you just scream bam, kick it up a notch. I'm just having fun here. Yeah. I don't really, you know, I'll add seasoning to the mix here and there, but this time I'm just working with what's in the actual base ingredients of the, you know, like the Sweet Baby Ray's and mustard and shit like that, and just add a little bit of Italian seasoning. I'll do that again when I take them out to roll water. It sounds really fucking wrong, but yeah. those guys in there. There we go. Set the annoying timer for about 15 minutes. And I usually cook these for about 45 minutes. Hi, Gordon. It's all back there talking. Just being quiet about it. Like, what the hell? I can use that still for the tater. Move that to the side. And while I wait for the thing to ring, because at about, after this goes and I go do that part, I'll bust out a vegetable and throw that in the oven too. But in the meantime, I had to grab me and my RC. Oh wait, we're supposed to label out, right? No, I'm not being sponsored. I'm just being bored and awkward, I guess. So no, today's been kind of a little bit of a quiet, not lazy day and all that stuff. Kind of, yeah. Took me, it took me about an hour and a half or so to at least wake up enough and all that I could, yeah. I woke up feeling like my brain was in mud. I was like, this is bad. I was like, this is really bad. Clean my camera. There we go. That should be better. Yep, not getting the weird fucked up, glares anymore. Or as bad. But no, I had to wait for the chicken to thaw anyway, so I sat there for probably about 45 minutes as I'm waking up. I was already starting to get a little hungry, I was like, oh great, it's gonna be the Hunger Games in my belly here today. Not sure what I want to eat, but thought about it and like, oh, I'll actually have some barbecue chicken legs. I haven't had some of those for a little while. And then yeah, but so I busted those out, got those sitting to thaw in the sink, under some cold water, and well, that was after I had to do some dishes because I forgot I had some dishes to do. So kind of, I've got extra plates, but I was like, might as well get the dishes done so I have everything done, and I just, excuse me, have a couple things to wash later. But I figured do some barbecue chicken with obviously baked potato and and a vegetable, and enjoy that. And yeah. But as I was saying, I had just got done getting dishes done and everything, and had just, and was getting the chicken thawed out while as I was, getting this mixed up, and then I was setting it here on the stove where the heat rises, so that way it's usually a little bit easier to spread about on there when it's a little bit thinned out from being heated up a little. So I put on the exhaust part of the stove usually. And that's what I've been doing for a bit there. Well, while I was sitting there stirring it up, I'm listening to one of my shows. I got the TV up a little bit. Well, I'm hearing this, bah, 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 and I'm hearing this, bah, 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 bah. I'm going, okay, this isn't the kind of fucking show that, that I'm listening to on YouTube that's going to have that stuff going on. I was like, it's kind of weird, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, shit like that on there could happen in the background. On some of them it does, but so I went over to the TV and I sat down and I rewind the show like 30 seconds, and I'm listening like, nope, that's out here. And it's not like we don't hear gunfire out here. It's usually during the day because you got people hunting. Well, yeah, it's hunting season still right now. Or right at the end. It's real close to the end of the hunting season, like real close there. But yeah, we still get people who go up and hunt, even for turkey and all that stuff. We got a lot of turkey up there. But No. I'm hearing that. I'm like, well, shit. I'm in the middle of nowhere. It sounded like I was like in the middle of Portland for a moment there, like up in Gresham area, Rockwood. And I'm going, okay. Wasn't expecting that one. It sounded like, a little firefight going on outside. And I'm like, oh. Because I at first I thought it was a TV. I was trying to process it because I was like, okay, I'm hearing guns, but this doesn't make sense. Why am I hearing it on this show? There's nothing on there for that to be going on. I don't think that person lives in that type of area. And then here comes my dog, and I'm going, okay, well, I guess I'll go and rewind the show to make sure that I'm not, just hearing things. Because it made my dogs nervous. Coda went under the couch thing, the futon, and Momo come into the kitchen like, hey, what was that? And I'm going in, I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, like, was that the TV? So there's a first. Well, I should say a second, considering, a couple years ago we had something like that happen here with another neighbor. Well, this neighbor over here and another one, but I'm not gonna go into that shit. But normally it's pretty peaceful around here, except for, again, the only people I normally really hear here are those neighbors. There's 3 houses between right here. And the main reason why I hear them is because, well, he's a busy guy. He's usually outside, working and stuff on the property and all that stuff. I don't give a shit about that. It's part of living in these types of areas, and even in farmland areas, you're going to hear heavy equipment and all that stuff throughout the day. But yeah, at times it just starts sounding like, because he'll have his Jeep parked up on my side yard with his trunk open, system up, boom, 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 boom. While he's out working out there, and I'm sitting in here like, most of the time I can't hear that shit. A lot of it I really can't hear it. I'll hear it sometimes, but then there's days where I'll hear it loud and clear, and it's like, this makes me think of the comedy stand-up that Robin Williams did, Night at the Met. And there's this little spot in there, portraying himself as that old, neighbor that can't stand the kids being noisy with their music, and portraying it as like, I built this cruise missile to stop them kids from playing ZZ Top. But, no, I don't mind it too much. It doesn't really annoy me a whole lot. Sometimes it's nice to know that I can still hear. Yet I've noticed at times they'll do things that they're trying to intentionally be a nuisance. And it's like, it doesn't really work because I really don't give a shit. If you're going to bump your stereo, that's fine. Bump your stereo. Sometimes I get a kick out of it, some of the stuff that comes across it, because it makes me think of back in the day with my buddy Mikey. My old buddy Mikey in his car. He would, of all things, he came from a very, very, very religious family. And so by the time he could start driving, doing all that stuff, he started to rebel a little bit. I mean, we definitely started to rebel for a couple years there at one point. But, you'd hear him a half a mile the fucking way. And you would hear him for about 5 minutes before he even goes by. And when he goes by, everything, you don't really hear a beat. It's just a kind of like a series of really loud hums, basically, at different tones and octaves and all that shit. But yeah, he'd go by, and the pictures on the wall, everything, as he's going by, and it's just this little old Subaru Legacy hatchback thing. And there'd be occasions there you'd hear, I'm a Barbie girl, and we're like, motherfucker. The only guy I knew at the time that would go and bump like Barbie girl, Eiffel 65 and shit like that, and would get away with it because of the way the system sounded, and it was just like, oh my god. So, no, the way when I first met him, when we were kids, it was the first day of middle school, and we were standing at the bus stop, and he was standing there with the tube of toothpaste, eating the toothpaste. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? But yeah, that's where the friendship started, and after that, it just kind of, yeah, he became one of my brothers, and then was his best man at his wedding, and that was the last time I seen and spoke to him. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, as I said there at his wedding, you know, from the time I met him there at that bus stop to that moment, he was my best friend and one of my absolute best friends and a brother to me. But I also knew that, you know, it wasn't in essence just like kind of like, say, her dad giving her away, you know, to him or anything like that. You know, people are giving him away to her in that sense. It's like, that's my best friend, and now that space is now going to be filled, you know, by her, and that's right. You know, it's me stepping back, you know, going, that's your best friend now. And so that was the last time I seen my brother and talked to him, was at his wedding. You know, I wasn't even there for the photos, really. I was there for a few of the photos, but not for the after wedding. After all that was done, I did my toast, went quietly, took off my suit, handed it to my brother because you know, it was raining, and made the, you know, 5-6 hour drive home back to Oregon from all the way up there. So I mean, it's recognizing that, you know, my position in life as a friend, you know, it's still there. You know, when we talk, we'll talk, you know, whenever that happens. But I know that my spot in life as a friend, and when your friends get married, you know, that's who their commitment and obligations are to first, is their spouse, not their best friends, not their moms and dads, you know, none of that. It's to their spouse. You know, what people don't seem to understand, they think codependency is a bad thing. There is bad codependencies, yet when you're married, you're agreeing to be dependent on each other, to help each other through the bad shit, not just the good shit, to help, you know, push each other along when you really need that, you know, that helping hand or that support or anything like that, any form of it. That's the person you should be able to depend on. You know, people, you should be able to depend on yourself. Then what's the point of being in a relationship? What's the point of being with someone if all it's about is what kind of monetary gain you can have, and kids that eventually, you know, are going to be raised with probably some backwards morals, in the sense of what they see is going on is probably not what's really going on behind the bedroom doors between the parents, type thing. You know, we've all been in that situation where we watched our parents, you know, and outside the room, you know, they might seem happy and all. We've witnessed the fights, all that shit. We all have witnessed our family argue and all. But in the general, you know, there's a portrayal of a certain type of morals going on when behind closed doors they're doing something else. I know a lot of parents out there who portray their kids as being basically drug free when in the bathroom they're smoking pot and dope. So I mean, they might just sit there and be, oh no, I just, you know, drink or smoke cigarettes or both, but I don't do that stuff. You know, the closet addicts, because, you know, you see all that a lot in soccer moms. And then, like, in Oregon, when things went legal, we'd see women that were very much walking in like soccer. You could see, like, this is a woman that drives a minivan and is a soccer mom. You can see it. And not just look out the window and go, oh, yeah, I saw what vehicle she got. I'm literally, you know, we all have that. We all fit some sort of stereotype. I'll just put it that way. And we'd joke about it because we'd watch these ladies, because those were the ones that you'd see the most dramatic changes with. And they were like that Sunday school, you know, driver, that soccer mom type people. In 6 months, you know, they're dressed real nice, tidy, until they've got, you know, a husband at home that's getting paid really good money and all this shit. And then 6 months later, you watch them transition to looking like they're barely crawling out of a laundry hamper, you know, and tie-dye t-shirts and all that stuff, going full-blown, you know, Spicoli and all that. And it's like, there's a must to fit an image in order to partake in that type of stuff, and so it's just funny about it. But no, you're supposed to be able to rely and depend on your partner through life, and if you can't, and you're each just relying on yourself and just sort of coexisting, there's no point of having a relationship. You're just roommates at that point, faking it. Roommates with benefits, basically. Because you're lying to each other. Yeah. I don't think people really, think those arguments out too well, because, yeah, your marriages and your relationships will not survive if just one person's doing all the work, because of people are afraid of codependency. That's an argument, I think, these days that has been worn out and in some ways overused. You should be able to be dependent on in your relationship. You don't necessarily need your wife to wake you up every morning to, get you dressed and have your lunch or your breakfast ready or something like that. If you guys do that kind of thing, probably a shared effort. You might take turns, or one just might enjoy doing more cooking than the other. Just whatever the dynamic is. Like for me, I enjoy cooking. But you're still you still rely and depend on them to basically do their part in the relationship, to be there for you when you need them, just as you should be for them. It's part of that equal give and take type thing. I throwing around codependent and all that stuff has become, it's just like some of these other terms where people go out and make claim that certain people did certain things with no proof, and because it's just easy to do. And I'm not going to say what it is given what platform we're on, and I'm not about to try and trigger people. Everybody knows there's somebody that goes out and pulls some shit. The boy who cried wolf. We'll just say it that way. But no. Sorry, I'm sitting here saucing my cock up, No, I just, when I hear how a lot of people talk about relationships these days, it kind of, when it comes to some of them, it makes me feel sorry for their spouses, because what are they going to do when their spouses are, get to an age where they, or start having health problems, they can't take care of themselves, and they're stuck being with somebody whose, attitude is, you're being codependent. You're being a little codependent here, Can you just get up, get healthier magically and do this yourself? So, and we all know how that can be a bit on the offensive side to anybody when you've got some shit going on that really is prohibiting you or limiting you in life, and you get people telling you, oh, it's easy, you can just get up and do it. It's like some of those stupid. Well, they're not really stupid. Depending on how it's done, some of them are funny. But some of those comedy movies where they think the person in the wheelchair can actually walk, it like a Talladega Nights type thing. Stab themselves in the fucking leg and like, oh, wait, nope, I'm not paralyzed. Or, no, you can get up and walk. I'm going to tip you out of your chair now. Because you're going to get up. Watch. And, yeah. So we see a lot of that type of shit going on these days, and we get too many people trying to put themselves out there. Basically, it'd be like me trying to compare myself to somebody else going, because I did it, you can do it too. It doesn't always necessarily mean it. You can get to the same how should I put it? You can reach the same goal and outcome. It's just your methods are gonna of doing so are gonna be different than mine. There might be similarities, might be some shared aspects of how things are done. You know, that's part of learning from other people's experiences and taking in some of the things that, you know, they've done that might have worked for them and adapting it to ourselves, you know, and making it work for us. It's not literally trying to copycat someone. No, my buddy Nate, he sent me a message earlier on this tax thing that they're doing, where, you know, with the whole PayPal thing and all that stuff, and where they're going to tax that. And I kind of started thinking about it. I was like, you know, this isn't going to be really good at all, because the more I started thinking about it, like, you know what kind of information that type of shit brings out in certain scenarios? Because you get, you know, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily fair. Yeah, if you're doing something as a hobby and you're making a few $100 extra a month, you shouldn't have to be getting fucking taxed on that shit. Especially if you're making less than what you're basically paying every month. Between what's being taken out of your paycheck to what you're paying at the gas station, paying at the fucking store and all that shit. So it's like, it's still getting taxed anyways when they use it at the store and all this other shit. It's not like they're, yeah. I understand when people are using it and making legitimate, like, amounts of money to be an actual small business and all that, and needing to register for that type of stuff or whatever you call it. But because I watched a neighbor of mine some years back up where I grew up in Oregon City. The lady had like a half a dozen houses. Something like that. Half a dozen houses, something like that. And she wasn't licensed as a realtor or anything like that. And she wasn't really getting taxed on that income that they were making from those homes. And what they were getting taxed on was her husband had a construction business, and so that's where the taxes played in. So they played the system on it to the point that the state had to step in and tell her and people like her, like, no, after an X amount of homes, you have to you have to get licensed as a realtor, or whatever, or, you know, for renting and all that, whatever you call it, like a property management or whatever. And then, yeah, and they get stuck getting the shit taxed out of them after, you know, so much. I know things have changed since. That was back in, like, late 80s, early 90s, something like that. Got to the point she had to sell, like, half her houses so she didn't have to go get the licensing. And then they basically went and moved to Mexico for a while there and just saved money on those homes, come up, deal with the homes, go back, and then eventually sold them off and retired. You know, it was smart, but the way they were doing things was a little bit shady. And you can see how that is. No, I don't believe in an overexertion of taxation. I really don't. Because, I mean, when I, you know, start doing the math here in Oregon and all that stuff and other places, you realize that you're getting taxed more than just what you think. From paycheck to register is the way I put it. But, what I was telling my buddy, though, I was like, you know what this is going to do? I said, I bet you anything, when this takes effect, because it'll start at the beginning of the year, I was like, they're talking about Black Friday and what everybody's spending using their PayPals, their Venmos, their Cash Apps, and all that shit, and shopping online or at the stores, doing all that. These people are going to get taxed because now they're going to have to basically verify where this is coming from in that sense. Like, how are they getting this money? And then that type of shit. If it's being transferred from their bank, I mean, obviously there's going to be some things it's just like, yeah, okay, you know, they're not going to deal with it. But if you're making X amount of money each month, it's like $600 or more, then basically they got to verify whether or not it's profit from business or whatever. They're not going to get you if you're just selling a couple things here and there on eBay or Amazon, that type of stuff. Excuse me. But started laughing about it, and I said, this is fucked up. I was like, yeah, this is a double-edged sword, because, I mean, given my point of view on a subject matter, I said a subject matter, not necessarily this specific one, when it comes to taxing the shit out of people on everything. But I said, do you realize that when it comes to tax time, how many divorces and relationships are going to fail when that time comes? I was like, we're going to see an uptick in this. Because I was like, how many of those people out there who are either married, engaged, or have been in a very long-term relationship with someone, or is getting ready to get married, that type of stuff, and their other half is doing it, and they don't have any clue that their other half is doing some shady shit online to make money? Because it's already tracked and archived on the internet as is. Their action's already there. It's like you can delete everything you want from your computer, but your shit's still out there, and it's also still in your hard drive. So it's like, you can do what you want. I mean, realistically, yeah. But it's like, I'm sitting there going, can you imagine how many men and women out there sitting there going to do their taxes, having to explain to their other half how they got all this money that they're now being taxed on because they were doing something shady online, whether it be drug dealing to fucking OnlyFans. And yeah, you're going to see a big uptick. So it's like, I'm going, yeah, they're going to have to explain it. You'll have some people go, oh, hey, that might be cool. And they'd be like, well, why didn't you tell me? I would have joined in. You'll get people like that shit going on. But you will see, because when that comes about, the information's is going to come out. It's going to be right in front of them on where that income is coming from. And yeah, so I'm kind of laughing about it in a weird way, because I told Nate, I was like, this is like that episode of South Park where it's like the people from Switzerland or whatever that did the troll bait or troll gate or something like that, where they're trying to catch trolls, online trolls and shit, and then they were gonna basically do this program where it releases everybody's hidden bullshit, so that way anybody, your spouse, anybody can look at it and go, you said this, you did, see all your messages, all your emails, all your text, all that shit, because all that shit gets archived. Whether you delete it or not, it's still archived somewhere within these different companies and systems, whether it be, through cell phone companies or internet companies or anything like that. And so it's like, okay, well, if you're doing that, you're going to have to explain to your husband or wife why you were doing what you were doing online to get money from other people and not telling them about it. But then you're also going to have the idiots out there who don't take cash exchange and will do stuff through digital currency exchange. They're gonna, that are, might be selling drugs or doing anything like that. They're gonna have to explain where that money came from. And if they can't, it won't be good. If they can't give a legitimate reason why they made thousands of dollars in a month and had it go into their PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, or whatever it is, without a legitimate justification for that money there, basically. They're tracking your shit. And so, yeah, the IRS is getting to have fun. I mean, I'm seeing this shit and I'm going, this is some bullshit and it's fucked up. But I'm also laughing at the same time, all those people who are about to have their fucking dirty laundry fucking aired at tax time because they're going to have to explain to their other halves where they got that money from. If somebody hasn't already ratted them out at some point, in between that time, and they don't realize what's gonna, that there might be something else boiling up. But then you also got the people out there, even though they're not married and filing together, but they're gonna get married. You think they're not gonna find out in the following year or two? Like, oh, if you just stop, they're not gonna find out. No, they're still gonna have access to your information. They're still gonna see it and be like, you were doing that while we were still together. While we were together, it's not gonna, it's gonna open up a box. That's for sure. So I'm kind of, part of me is kind of laughing about this shit, And when it comes to those people, the rest, it's like, this isn't a big time overreach, because most of that money that's going into people's accounts is already taxed. And they're just finding every which way possible to keep taxing you, taxing you, taxing you. And, yeah. So I'm just kind of laughing about some of that shit. When it comes to situations of family helping family, stuff like that, that shit can all be verified and it's not going to be touched or looked at. It's the people who are making money in other ways and getting lots of it each month and all that. And it's going to, people are going to be, okay, what were you doing? So I just kind of, yeah, as I said, I found that was quite entertaining. But, no. For most part, other than just kind of chilling, chat with my buddy for a moment there and saw that, and then was talking to my ex and everything like that here earlier too, and I'll just, she's still my friend. That's how I look at it, regardless of what's happened. I know people sit there and go, well, this, and this. It's like, yes, I know. There's a lot of things I'd like to talk about on here that I don't. People, I know I got people who sit and watch and they think, oh, he said this. It's like, you really, yeah, you could be what you want, but you really didn't get shit. Because I really don't talk in depth about certain things into that much detail. And just say that she's basically getting what she wants. Whether she likes it or not now. I don't know anybody down here either, and whether it rebuilds at least that relationship and that friendship or more, that it does. If it doesn't, by the time the house sells and I move, it doesn't. It's just, I just don't want to repeat the cycles that I've had to go through the last, fucking half decade. I don't want to go through that shit anymore. I really don't, and I'm kind of borderline paranoid to some of those things and even to some of those traits because I pick up on them. It's like, no, I don't want to be around you. And that's not necessarily them, it's anybody. What I went through and everything I've learned after going through what I have, it's caused me to reevaluate people, like, in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean I think one person's less than another. No, it just means certain people I would rather not be around. It's like, no, they're not going to be good where I'm concerned. And, with that being said, I don't want to be a part of that mess. They might do better around other people and all that type of shit. It's kind of like hiring someone, it sounds like a weird comparison, but when you go to bring somebody into your business, do you want somebody who's going to, be a shit disturber? Or start causing people to start, a divide where all of a sudden you got Team A and Team B going on. All that bullshit mentality, you don't want that. You want people who are going to be able to get along, work well together, and all that stuff. You want those, in those environments, you want those coworker relationships to be healthy and proper and not doing anything fucked up on the side hand. Sometimes shit happens, but that's why I understand certain rules. When it comes to work environments. That also means not bringing. I guess the easiest way I can put it is, just as you don't want to bring your bullshit from home to work, you don't bring your work bullshit home. And yes, you might have your company gatherings, you have your work friends and all that, but those relationships are, friendships happen, people get real close and all that stuff, but there's also boundaries. And if you're starting to, find yourself getting caught up into weird work relationships and you need to fucking either change your job or know when to go, nope, I've got to back off because you're my coworker. And when it comes down to it, if it's going to end up being your job on the line or mine because somebody does something stupid, I'd rather not be a part of that. So it's like people got to kind of think about that stuff. But get kind of anxious because the chicken is smelling so good. I still got to check the tater in there. Just one single potato. It's not a very big russet. It's just, yeah, you saw it. And there's just enough on here that, yeah, I can basically put a little more on each side, let it go for another 10 minutes, and then it's good to go. Oh, I better get my veggies out, huh? I guess I'll cook up the rest of the corn. I'm just going to make some peas, but I might make up the corn. Get the butter. Can we please have some butter? So we can smother it all over our crumpets. Makes me think of this party back. It's right around when we were like 18, 19 years old. My brother Jess was living with the few people at this apartment up in Gladstone. This is back, obviously way back. And he's having this party and he got so fucking drunk before the party even really started that his roommates, you know, took him in, had him go into the room because, you know, to lay down for a minute, you know, sober up, and they decided to go in and asked him if he wanted a piece of bread to help soak up some of the alcohol in his stomach. And he's like, yeah. And they hand him this bread and he goes to eat it and he just smears it all over his face. He just couldn't even get it into his fucking mouth. Yeah, that poor guy. That night was something else. We had people slipping roofies in people's drinks and all that shit. Which I won't bring up names on that one because I know one of those people watched this and they had to deal with that. You know, it's the wonders of picking awesome people. But I'll just say that's what happens when you keep fucking going after, yeah, trying to fulfill somebody's, you know, various friends' from high school fantasies. It's just, no. It's like, you know, how many times you gotta keep learning from that one. But of course, I'm probably a very different breed of person anymore at this point because when I think back to people in high school, I was happy with the person I was with back then. I really didn't look at anybody else any different other than a friend. So it's like if I'm with you, I'm with you, and anybody else outside of that, it's a friend, and there's no benefits of that nature to be had. So it's like you're a friend, and that's how it goes. But there we go. Got some butter up in the corn. Gotta get that good. Heat it up. And then I can deal with the chicken now again. Now, I have a very... Some people might think I have a kind of a, I guess you could say, a narrow or strict view on relationships and stuff. No, I grew up watching my parents who've never been divorced. They've had to separate a couple times for reasons that really neither one of them necessarily wanted. And I watched them going on. At this point, they're going on like 53, 54 years of marriage and all that shit. And I watched a lot of things going on, you know, and I saw the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, all that crap. I'm aware of what makes things, I'm aware of what you gotta do to make things work, even if I can admit I'm not even the greatest at it either necessarily. I never give up. And if I have to change something that I'm doing to make things right or better, I will. I just know that I can only change so much before it gets to a point that it's actually doing more damage, not just to me, but to everything else. And it's like we each have to make adjustments. When you're in a relationship with somebody, both people have to make adjustments to that relationship. And it doesn't happen, it all doesn't happen right away. It happens over a series of time because both people are also always changing together in time. As you're getting older, your views, your thoughts, beliefs, and all, they evolve a little bit with age. You're interacting with people, how you interact, how you view the world. All these things evolve with age, and it also involves with the influences of the people around you. And a lot of times in a relationship, you want somebody that's going to help keep your views in a positive note, not break you down while they're out getting a positive note from other people. Any and all relationships, especially if you want it to work, it's gonna take work. It's gonna take both people and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, trying not to get back into that conversation. To be honest, I've already had that one. Oh yeah, now I got to deal with the chicken again. And check the tater. So far, don't want to tilt it too far, otherwise it's gonna. Yeah, I don't need the chicken rolling off onto the counter. Nope, do a quick little bit on each side for these, so I can just use up the sauce a little bit and let it go for like 10 more minutes, and everything's groovy at that point. Okay. I'm trying not to mess my chicken up. There we go. Roll that one. Yep, this shit's gonna be done in just a couple minutes. Technically, it's done. I'm not necessarily overcooking at this point. I'm just kind of letting the sauce glaze a little bit on the chicken. Plus, it helps make it a little extra saucy. There we go. A little of this one more time. Yeah, I hope everybody had a good Black Friday at least, or it was entertaining. I know some friends of mine that I saw, they're, online there, and they're on Twitter too, X, they were, I'm just staying home, sleeping. I'll get my ordering done online, that type of thing. Like, I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. if it just simply wasn't for the fact that there's a couple things yeah. Like the Roku. The Roku was really the only thing I had to do with needing to go to the store. Sweet. Because otherwise, I would have not have went. I don't usually go. Especially on my own. I just know. Anxiety from hell. I don't do good on a normal day. And what was strange, well, at least to me, I'm used to the thought or idea that usually on Black Fridays or whatnot, that it's usually more busy than a typical afternoon type thing. No, not here. Not this town. It was about the same as any other, afternoon shopping rush type thing, just before dinner time, right after work type thing. Everybody's heading home from work, stopping at the store to grab what they need on the way home. But I'm going to stop it here. And then when the chicken's done, I'll give you a little vid clip here at the end. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a good night and have a good rest of your weekend. Take care. Night. And as promised, the little finished product of dinner before I eat it. Of course, I'm not going to show you the finished product after I ate it, because that would be just pretty disgusting, wouldn't it? Yep. Sorry, it looks burnt. It is not burnt. It's just the barbecue sauce and all that stuff. Yep. And then, of course, I always have... I don't just have a napkin for my hands. I always have a piece... because I'll wrap around a piece around the leg at the bottom, so I have something to hold on to, and it just makes it easier to keep my hands cleaner. Then I'm not licking my fingers and all that bullshit, or getting my napkin all super dirty, other than with my, wiping my face off and stuff. But yeah, there be tonight's dinner. So anyways, again, I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching. And be safe out there and have a good weekend. Late.